Good evening and thanks for tuning in. Negotiators were unable to agree on a contract for Minot Public Schools teachers following a fourth meeting between the district and the teachers union tonight. The school board's negotiating committee met with the Minot Education Association again tonight. The two sides discussed lowering the budget deficit, where school funding comes from, and teacher retention. School board and negotiation committee member Scott Lauser says they made progress on the language portion of the contract. He added, now the focus is on finances, like an increase to the teacher's base salary and a retention bonus. Lauser acknowledged the continued talk of the budget deficit by explaining where the district gains its revenue.
There's really three restrictions on school funding that are in place, and we're operating underneath all three of those restrictions.
Now, Lauser mentioned the three restrictions include the per pupil payment, levied mills cap, and a 3% budget cap. Lisa Wolf, a negotiator with the MEA, said she also felt the meeting made good progress, but hopes they can come to an agreement soon.
In 2017, when we went to impasse and then contracts were imposed on the teachers, it tanked morale. And I really don't want to see that happen again.
The negotiations are not at an impasse yet. Wolf said either party can declare impasse at any time, but if an agreement is not met by July 1st, they will automatically have to go that route. While MPS teacher contracts have been two-year deals in recent years, Wolf said they are negotiating a one-year contract this time. The negotiations will continue tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. at the Central Middle School Auditorium.